Hey there, it's Kristen with the Inspired Oracles Challenge, and I just wanted to do a video about shadow cards, or what I call shadow cards, and I kind of explain those and how I look at them. If you're doing a deck, or even if you're not doing a deck, you can really work these into any type of oracle. But this is a deck that I'm creating. This is a handmade deck, and these are the shadow cards that I have come up with so far. The deck is still evolving, so there may be a few more of these. But I wanted to talk about kind of what I call shadow cards, why I think they're necessary in a deck or in any kind of oracle. If you have a charm casting set, or really anything, I think you probably need something to represent the challenges or the lessons, the trials. And that's what I mean by shadow. I don't mean in terms of like the Jungian term. I just mean in your deck, there's so much focus on love and light, and all of that's great, but in a regular person's life, there's going to be some trials, tribulations, challenges, lessons. Every day is just not going to be a great day. And those, that shadow, that challenge, that test is important, because I think that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you evolve. And it would be like having a friend who never tells you, you've got something stuck in your teeth or whatever. I don't find that very helpful. How do you have a deck that only tells you, oh, everything's going to be fine, when there's some real issues that you need to address? When you're walking around looking crazy or something, I would like for somebody to point that out. So that's what I'm talking about when I say shadow cards. I just mean those cards that are going to point out your bullshit, really. They're just going to call you on it. And if you have set up your, for example, deck well, there should be a good proportion of that light and shadow, so that there's enough light cards that can give you a response to the shadow cards. So I just think that's an important thing. I see decks, a lot of decks now, oracle decks now, that have no shadow, and like I said, I don't really understand what the purpose is. I think it's great when you just need a boost of positive information with the cards that just have light, energy in them. Like here's some from the same deck: Celebration. Let's see. This one is Hello Weekend. This one is Gather, Give, Grow. Yeah. And then there are cards that are neutral too, that I would consider to be kind of neutral. This one's probably pretty neutral. You are here, born to wander, making memories. We don't know what kind of memories we're making, but again, to have a whole deck and there's nothing that's kind of calling out your stuff just doesn't make sense to me either. So, but I do think that it should be proportionate, and you don't want too much shadow, or then every reading is just really depressing. So you do want to kind of think about how many cards you have that are shadow cards in respect to your entire deck. So I want to show you the shadow cards that I've created, and there's a bit of a limitation with what I can make with these, because I'm using, not in terms of the backdrops, but in terms of the words, because I'm using one, it's a small talk sticker book from Tim Holtz. So really everything is worded very positively. So in order to get the shadow stuff, I have to kind of change some of the words around. So I do want to show you just what I've done so far, and also that you can read shadow stuff even into negative things, meaning you can see both sides. Every deck, every card should have, you know, a positive and negative. So let's just take a look at some of these. So this one is a picture of a wolf, and it says, keep moving forward. Make sure that's in the screen. Now, I did this one as the wording, keep moving forward, is worded positively, excuse me. But I set this up as a shadow card because when it comes up, it suggests that you might be afraid to move forward, that there might be some fear there because of the wolf in the picture. Here's one. This one just says an unfortunate ending. And sometimes things are unfortunate and sometimes things are endings, and that's just a part of life. So for me, I always like a card that brings up endings, just because I think it's important for us to know when to let go. And speaking of that, I have one that is let it go, which is like someone sweeping up, and I'm also looking at this as sweeping things under the rug because of the way that the picture is. So to me, that's also, we're looking at shadow, like somebody might be sweeping things under the rug instead of just sweeping them away and letting them go. This is another one that's worded really positively, just breathe. But again, it kind of creates a foreboding sense that maybe the person isn't, you know, just breathing. So this one's kind of like saying there might be something scary happening and you just need to take a breath, just take a moment. With this one, I kind of pulled in all the things that are happening in this particular card, and it already had some wording here that says well, and then I added choose to see the good stuff. So this one, when this card comes up, I would be looking at it as maybe there's some negative stuff happening, but you can choose to see the good stuff. So again, another really positive wording, but we can still see this as a shadow card. And then let's see. This one, I had to cut out some of those positive words to make a less positive sentence. You are full of doubt. And sometimes we're just full of doubt, and we need to know, we need to be aware of that. And this card would just be one of those cards that would point that out. And then you could pick another card to find out, how can I move out of this state? These two, I didn't really intend to make them so similar, but they really have the same exact energy. And again, I had to kind of cut out some things to make a different phrasing. So this one says, today is full of unimaginable chaos. This to me is just like a crazy day. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be so much shadow, but just, you know, when you have one of those days where everything just seems to go wrong. This one says crazy things are going to happen. I really don't know when this is going to show up, so I want to observe how and when it shows up as opposed to this one. So this is more future oriented to me, suggesting as a preparation card, like just prepare for some stuff. I would expect to see this one maybe during like a Mercury retrograde energy where just lots of things are just kind of going haywire. So those two, very similar in energy. And this one is hilarious to me. The only thing that I added here were these stickers, but this is actually from the book that I'm using, the main book that I'm using, and it says, Dear Blank, I don't like you at all. So I think this is a really great card because you could fill in whatever you want to in that blank. It could be a person, but it could also be a thing. But sometimes it's really good to acknowledge what you don't like and just make, Just be honest about it. I don't like this person. I don't like doing this activity. I don't like this thing. And then again, the next card that you pull, you might want to say, what can I do about it? What can I do? What do I need to do about it? And then the last shadow card that I have right now, and it is already stalking me, it says, darling, you are lost. And so this is one that I had to cut out to make this one. And I thought it was a really good message, because sometimes we are lost, not literally, but we're lost in terms of our direction. We may just be floundering and not really know what needs to be done next, or where we're headed. And what's funny, I just said it was stalking me, and it has come up even in multiple shuffles, picking from different parts of the deck. I've gotten these two cards together. So the first card was Darling, You're Lost. And after I pulled that, I asked, what do I need to do to find myself? And this was the card that I pulled. It says, start doing things you love. So that's a really, really profound message. I didn't even know that I was going to get such good messages with this deck, but I think it is because of using a little shadow and a little light and mixing those messages together, making sure that your deck is well-rounded and has some guidance, some prediction, some self-discovery in it as well. And so I just wanted to show you those cards in terms of the shadow cards and what I mean when I say shadow cards. And so just something to think about. It's not something maybe you want to put into your deck, but I always say think about it and think about how well-rounded your deck or your oracle is, how well-rounded you want it to be. Maybe it's for a very specific purpose and you don't need any of these shadowy cards, but it's always something that's good to think about. And I would love to see your oracles that you're making for the Inspired Oracles Challenge. You can feel free to share them on Instagram using the hashtag Inspired Oracles Challenge. Or if you're doing a video, just let me know and I will add it to the Inspired Oracles Challenge playlist.